The idea that the all cultures are equal is complete crap. It's complete crap because that is exactly the sort of mentality that enabled the Pakistani rape gangs that we saw, the Muslim rape gangs that we saw.
Yep.
And Moe, we've talked about this because there are a lot of Muslims in the West. They're like, no, we want economic, sovereignty. We pay our taxes. We just want a stable place where our kids can go to school. But what we can't have is to tar all Muslims, especially the good ones in the West that are grandfathered in, with third world Muslims, often from Pakistan in that case, and then say, oh, well, therefore, let's just. And this is where the white nationalist thing comes into it.
Yeah.
They're like, correlation equals causation. Yeah. And everyone, you will behave the way your DNA is written. It's like, no, you won't. No. That tells me that I can't learn anything new.
You just can't integrate the third world with the first world. It's common, easy maths.
Yeah.
You can't do it. Right.
Say too much.
You can call me a racist, but I'm Lebanese, Arab, Muslim, second generation, and just basic maths. You can't integrate third world people into a first world society. It won't work.
There must be certain fundamental things that make those different, whether it's attitude towards rule of law, level of education. In terms of breaking some of that down, I wonder what is that about, do you think?
It's not religion. So, unfortunately, it's immigrants. They can be Muslim, but there was a African, person attributed to be Muslim, but he wasn't. It's just their culture or tradition. These people come from they don't come from a civilized society, right? They have, very tough, atmosphere. So it's very hard to say, but we're allowing these type of people by the droves in, Apparently, according to the statistics in Australia, is like 70+% of migrants increase since 2022, right? So what's happening in Britain now, it's going to be a copy and paste in Australia if we don't watch out. Right.
When you say these people, can you be a bit more? What do you mean by these people?
Oh, anyone from a third world country.
A third world country, Gaza?
Gaza, look, I don't want to... The Gaza thing, I do feel for the Palestinians. They're my brothers and sisters in my religion, right? These people have been, genocided. They've had the worst things happen to them. They're not going to come in and... I know based on my religion, our religion doesn't tell us to, attack... non-combatants, etc. Right? So these Muslims,
but in the West, we've had a pattern. We've had a pattern of non-combatants suffering in that way. From people from a particular background.
Yeah. Well, where are they coming from?
Well, generally, as you're saying, the third world.
Well, in Gaza, what I can say is they've had a very bad situation, and to say they're all Hamas or extremists is wrong. I wouldn't say that. And speaking like that does cause a lot of drift within the community. It creates a lot of sectarianism, and so it's we just have to watch what we're saying.
What was the story? So this is obviously, for those that haven't heard, Australia is accepting 3,000 Palestinians. Damien, you covered this last week.
Yeah, 2,992 visas have been issued. About 1,300 people have arrived, I think, and so they're saying they're mostly families. But it's very political, so it's hard to know exactly who's who.
The way Dutton, I just disagree his approach. Like I'm against mass immigration altogether, right? The way Dutton went about it, singling out Muslims in Gaza, if you just put a blanket statement like, just stop everyone coming in because there's a inflation problem in our country, housing crisis, all these things, right? To single out Muslims from Gaza is wrong. It should just be immigrants in general. If we're getting a buttload of Elon Musk's, people that can contribute to the country, it's a different story.
I think
not that much. We don't want 3,000 South Africans, mate. Jeez. That was a joke.
Yeah,
that was a joke.
Just for context, the reason why he singled them out, and again, I'm no defender of Peter Dutton.
Yeah.
But just the reason why he singled them out is because Labor said we're bringing in 3,000 of these. It's 10 times than all the other countries combined or something.
Yeah.
And he's like, these people, they don't have our values, basically, because the majority of Palestinians support Hamas. That was the deduction he was making. And I think when the Labour Party started throwing... And I agree. What you mean you couldn't find anywhere else in the world. In the world. You had to literally fly them all the way to the other side of the Pacific.
That's what doesn't make sense, right?
No,
That's what makes it kind of a virtue signal. You know, here we are doing this thing. Why are we doing this thing?
I mean, Saudi Arabia, like all the Arab countries around them, why aren't they taking them in, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Like,
Well, that's my point, right? There's a lot of rich
interesting
oil states in the Middle East, right, which are far more. Again, it comes back to cultural fit.
Yep.
But we can't say that.
Well,
you know, it's like,
integration.
because we're multicultural. No, this is a different culture.
Yeah.
Right. And my ancestors, when they came from Ireland and from Lebanon, it wasn't to sort of come in and say, well, Australia has to adapt to our culture. They came in with a lot of humility, with a lot of respect. They were happy to be in a British country that had peace and security and the rule of law and parliament and all that sort of stuff that people actually respected. That's why they came here. And I don't know. I mean, argue with me if any of you guys feel differently about your immigrant parents.
Can you integrate? Do you want to integrate? And the host country has no obligation to take you. If they don't feel that you can add to their society, they shouldn't have you, just like your own home. So, you know, you go through the process. You if you are accepted, you sign up to integrate. There's a reason that you're going there. And you know, you should add value and not expect people to adapt to you if you are going to.
By the way, having lived in China for 20 years, or in Hong Kong for nearly 20 years, I can tell you the Chinese and the Japanese are not messing around with this stuff at all. It's like, you come here, you fit in.
That's
right.
right.
You don't fit in, bye-bye.
Yeah,
you know, there's no...
Exactly.
You know,
It's funny, you try to become a citizen in the UAE. They're very...
Oh, yeah.
You can't become a citizen, right? Even in Muslim countries. So if you're going to call me a racist, you know...
You have to
Middle
be
Easterners-
ethnically Chinese to be...
Correct. To be a
My
citizen.
children were born in Hong Kong. They can never be Chinese citizens unless we can prove that my wife has like that tiny little bit of Chinese we think she might have in her heritage. And the Japan, I mean, you can become a citizen in Japan if you're not Japanese, but it's bloody hard. Like it's a real struggle. And non-Japanese looking Japanese citizens, there's a couple of European, ethnically European looking Japanese citizens that I saw on an interview on TV once talking about their second generation in Japan.
Western countries get criticized for applying those same standards that other countries do. You know, it's really a hypocritical conversation. Western countries are not allowed to apply those same kind of criteria that other countries freely do without criticism.
And they secretly laugh at us.
Well, we deserve it in that
Way
case.
of the world.
That's right.
We were talking about that last week, weren't we, Paul? Where we said in Vietnam and the Philippines, you're not allowed to own land unless you actually are from that country.
Even the Middle East, you can't own land.
Really?
If you buy it, you can only own in the UAE. So from what I remember, if you buy land in the UAE, you can only own it for a certain period of time, like 90 years. So you never actually own
Correct me if I'm wrong, Mo, but I heard that if you're in a taxi rank in the UAE and there's an Emirati that comes up, you got to let him take that taxi. Or you're going to be in
If you
big trouble.
disrespect an Emirati, you're deported.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They really